Um, we need to see a restart of the relationship that has existed before. Without the United States and China engaged in climate change, we're going nowhere. These are the two largest economies in the world, the two largest emitters. Where they go, others will follow. We need to see them start to reestablish this relationship, which I think it's a wonderful thing that John Kerry is there now through an invitation. This is a really helpful step, but it's also something we need to see some tangible steps come out of the two countries. Whether it's going to be announcements of some new bilateral cooperation, whether it's announcements of international cooperation, or whether either country comes forward with something new on its own commitments.
How important, there's talk about a joint working group or some kind of mechanism on climate change that used to exist and that it went away during the Trump administration. How does something like that work, and how has it worked in the past?
Well, in a way, it creates the high-level discussions that need to happen, whether it's at the presidential level or at the minister level, making sure that the top policymakers enable their people to make the next steps. Sometimes there's personal connections that are able to get the two countries moving together. Beyond that, it's sharing of information as well, too. One country often is dealing with the same issue as the other country. How do we get our businesses to make more sustainable economic decisions? How do we get our governments to make better sourcing decisions on the products that we buy? And it's, in a way, it's a step-by-step cooperation and trust agreement.
And trust is so important. What about commitments at this point? Do you think at this stage of negotiations, each side will require or demand certain commitments from the other side? What does each side hope to gain here?
Well, I hope so. We'll see, though. You know, there's going to be the Leaders Climate Summit next week, and I think a lot of countries are coming forward with new commitments then. So whether the Chinese and U.S. Teams at this meeting right now will come forward with a commitment together, like they did just before the Paris Agreement, you saw that China and the United States come forward with their first climate pledges together. This was not random. You need the two largest economies and emitters to come forward together, or whether something will happen next week. I think we're also going to see some deals come forward in the next week or two dealing with banking reforms. How do we make sure that greener decisions are made by banks on who they lend to? This sort of thing can be enabled by the governments, even if it's not a fully governmental decision.
China has pledged to bring carbon emissions to a peak before 2030 and to become carbon neutral by 2060. In your opinion, doable, John?
I think so, absolutely, yes. I think it's doable, and I think it's something that we're going to see more information come out soon about. China also included this pledge in the next 5-year plan, and I think, as many of us know, if something is included in the 5-year plan, it's been checked off at the top levels, and that kind of thing gives the political momentum to things to be instituted.
Can there be any kind of solution on climate crisis which affects every single one of us in every corner of the world without the cooperation of the world's two biggest economies and the two largest emitters?
Well, I think we're going to see the two largest emitters start to walk forward on this again. And, you know, whether it's transportation emissions going down, whether it's energy, including more renewable energy, whether it's much of what we work on at the Nature Conservancy on natural climate solutions, making sure that we're preserving our forests as well. I think we're seeing all of these kind of come out in both countries' plans going forward.